Hello, my name is Zach McCurdy. I work with the web team here at Grand Valley. This video is going to be the CMS 101 video. It's going to be your introduction to the CMS. It's going to show you how to create basic web pages and how to navigate within the CMS. It will have chapters within it, so if you want to jump to any section, look at the description below and it will jump you to that particular section. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, let's get started. So once you get logged in, this is going to be the page that you see for your site's home. I'll break down and show you what each one of these sections are here that you see on the screen. So on the right hand side underneath Site Home, you'll see Content Age. What this does is this breaks down all of the items that you have in the age that they've been on your site. So the idea being is that you keep your content fresh and new. So for this particular page, if I click on the 25 items that are over a year old, it will then show me all of the pages that are perhaps out of date or need a rewriting. Okay? So now I'm going to go back, and on the right hand side here is problem reports. Whenever somebody accesses your web page and they go to the link that says problem reports, here on the web team page, I'll show you, it's down here on the bottom right that says report a problem to this page. So whenever a user fills out this information and clicks submit, it automatically goes to the problem reports section here on the right hand side. So you can see that there's been a total of 8, 3 of them are outstanding and 5 of them have been resolved. The problem reports will go to any administrator that has this option selected. Under More, if I click on Administrators, and then I find the user, so for example, Mark here, and I click on the Edit button, there's a checkbox over here on the right-hand side that says Manage Problem Reports. If this box is checked, anytime that a problem report gets sent in, they will receive an email with the problem. If this box is unchecked, they will not receive the email for it. Back at the home page, next down here is the CMS Help. This offers just some various links that you can click on and use if you need any assistance with the CMS. Probably the most helpful section is going to be the question and answer sections. So if I click on that, you can see here, these are all of the questions and answers that other users to the CMS have asked, and somebody on the web team has responded to in trying to help that person. So you may find that somebody else has asked the same question that you have, and their answer may be in the CMS Help. A quick way to do a search is to click in this box here, type in the word that you're looking for, say search, and it'll show you all of the results within there. So I'm going to go back to here, and now we're going to start on the left hand side, which has a lot of information on it. So the first thing you see is Site Home. If you click on Site Home, it just takes you back to this page. You'll think of this as the home button. The next link here is navigation. So navigation, when we click on it, you'll see that it has a bunch of different titles listed here. The navigation is, if I click on the View Site button to preview it, the hyperlinks that you see on the very top of the page. If we go back here and take a look, you can see, for example, under Events, there's subtopics or subheadings underneath of it. So those are the ones that you see with the drop down here. You also see up here that you have navigation type as horizontal. If we click on it, it takes you to the settings page, and you could change it if you want from horizontal to vertical. So if I make that change and then hit submit, now if we view the site again, you will see that there's no longer the hyperlinks at the top of the page, but instead they're now on the side of the page. So it's a matter of preference for whatever you want to do. So now that we've made that change, I'm going to change this back to horizontal navigation type and click submit. So now our links will be across the top of the page going horizontal as opposed to vertical. If I go back to navigation here, we'll talk a little bit about how to set up the navigation you see at the top of the page. Let's add a new navigation page. So you can see we have several already set up. Let's walk through and do a new one. So for our example, let's create another About Us page. So we'll delete this page here, and let's click on New Item. So from here, you will want to add a title. So this will be what the actual text says on the link. So from here, we're going to name this About Us. And then you have different navigation types. So the first option is a main navigation item that links to content. And let me show you what that means. That would be an example of this button right here, CMS Help. And what it means is it's an item that has just a link. You click on it and it takes you there. Okay. The next option here is a main navigation item with sub navigation. This would be all the options that you have with the down arrow where it has additional options underneath the actual first link. And then the last option is sub-navigation item that links to content. These are going to be all of the links that are beneath the initial link, so a sub-navigation item. So for this example, we're just going to do a main navigation item. Underneath content, this is going to be where we want the page to go when a person clicks on it. So I'm going to click on this box here, and I made this to be About Us. I'm going to click on About Us. The next option is Place Navigation. So you can arrange how you want it at the page. So right now, if we look at it, I would like the About Us to be the first box here on this page. So I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to say Before Events. So now it will list it before the events, essentially pushing all these over to the right, and the About Us will be the first item listed. Once that's done, I'm going to click Submit. And now let's take a look and see how our page looks. If I click View Site, you can see now the About Us section is up there. So now that we've created a navigation item with a single link, now let's go through and create one that has sub-navigation. And if you remember, those are the links that have the drop-down listed here where you can click on the links below. So I'm going to recreate this events link that we see here. So from this page, I'm going to click on New Item. I'm going to click and give it a name. So we're going to name this Events. And then for navigation type, we're going to say a main navigation item with sub-navigation. And then under Place Navigation, we can choose where we want this to go. So I'm going to say I want this after About Us. And then I'm going to say Submit. So we've created the sub-navigation page for events. So now let's add the items to the sub-navigation. So to do that, I'm going to click on this button here that says Add Sub-Navigation. And I clicked it under the events page. That'll be important here in a second. So let's give this a title. We're just going to name this New Staff. It automatically will select a sub-navigation because we've chose that from the previous page. And then from here, we need to choose the content. So this is going to be where we want that page to go. So we've got a link here that says New Staff Orientation. And then it places the navigation as sub-navigation under Events. And it did that because we clicked on that green button that says New Subnav from the previous page. Once that's done, I'm going to say Submit. And now you'll see under Events, we've got New Staff. So now another way that you can add in a sub-navigation is you can just click on the New Item button here. And let's add in our second option. So we're going to say Testing. And now I'm going to select Sub-Navigation Item, the content being this button here that says Sign Up for Usability Testing. And then we're going to say Place Navigation as Sub-Navigation under, and then we'll choose which page we want. We'll say Events. And then say Submit. So you have two different ways to add in sub-navigation pages. The easiest way is to click on the button underneath the page right here that says Add Sub-Nav, or you can click on New Item and you can manually assign it to that particular page. So let's add in our last page underneath Events. So we'll click Add Subnav. We'll call this Web Workshop. And again, it's already selected as subnav because we clicked that button on the right. And then we will find the page, Web Workshop Day. It's going to be subnavigation under Events, and click Submit. And now our events is looking great, looking like it did before. Let's click on the View Site button and we'll take a look. There's all the work we just did, adding those subnavigation items to the event page. So just to do a quick little recap about the navigation section, if you click on the new item here, you will give your navigation link a title, and then you have to choose the type. Main navigation is going to be the links that have just one link, like for example, CMS Help. Main navigation item with sub-navigation is the initial link that creates the top button here, and then you're able to create sub-navigation items. And then this third option is the actual sub-navigation items that are these links you see here. So let's take a look here at the content section of the CMS. Over here on the right hand side, you'll see we've got a list of all of the different pages that we've created on the CMS. So what I want to mention about the content section is that a lot of times the content and navigation work together. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times you will find that links in the navigation actually link to things that you've created in the content. So just something to keep aware of, that when you create things in navigation, most of the time you're going to link it to something in the content section. So we'll look over here and you see we've got a bunch of different pages created on this CMS page. Let's walk through creating a new page. So I'm going to click on the button here that says New Content. And then from here you have a bunch of different options that you can choose, different templates. 3-column, image grid, image left, image right, etc. So you're going to choose whichever one that you feel most comfortable with. What's also really nice about this new content page is that once you create a page that you would like, you can also clone it from this drop down here. So if we really like the About Us page that we just created, we can click the clone button and now that page is going to be replicated. So for our little demo here, we're going to use the Meet Us content page. So when I click on it, it brings us to this page here, which now we're able to actually create content. We're able to create a page. So for example, the top item here will be the page title. So we can name this About Us, whatever you want to name it. And then once you get down into here, this is how you begin editing the page. So we're going to come back to how you actually edit the page later in the video. But first, I just wanted to show you that this is how you create new content by clicking the button and choosing which template you want or how to clone it. We'll come back to actually creating the content later on in the video. So next, let's talk about the file manager. The file manager is going to be anything that you upload to your CMS is going to be located here. So this includes pictures, documents, PDF files, etc. So first, let's talk about how to do a search within the file manager. So in this box here, you can click in here. You can type in the term that you want to do a search for. Click on filter and any results will appear with that particular search term. Now, if you click on the clear button, it'll take you back to the original page. You can also, if you want, click on multiple items within the list here and click on the Delete Selected Files button. This will then delete anything that you have checked in front of it. You could also select all by clicking on that button right there. At the same time, you could also check whichever of these items here and click on the Export Files button. And when you do that, it will prompt you to say, are you sure? You say okay. And then it will give you a zip file with all of those files you can see here that it wants me to download. So I can back this up, do whatever I want with it. It'll be as a zip file that I can then save to my desktop or wherever. So next, let's talk about the file manager and how to upload files to it. So I'm going to click on this button that you see here that says Upload, and it brings me to this page. And it's important to mention before we upload a file that if you are going to upload a picture, you have to make sure that the university owns that picture or that the picture is copyright free. You can't just grab a photo off of Google and expect to use it unless you know it is a free photo or that the university owns it. Now, with that being said, let's choose a file using this button here. And it'll bring me to this screen to where I will need to select the picture I'm uploading. So there's a picture of myself, and I'm going to say open. And then I can give it a permission if I want to. So by default, everyone can view this picture or download this picture. Or I can change it so that only people with protected access can view or download it. Next is this section about tags, and this is going to be very important. So any file that you upload to the CMS, you can put a tag on it. And what it does is it essentially creates a label for that file. So for example, with this one being a picture of myself, I am going to put this under the Team Bios tag. And so in the future, if I ever want to pull up all of the pictures of our team from the Team Bios, I could do a search simply for this tag and it would bring up all of those results. So any file that you upload to the CMS, you're going to want to make sure that you put a tag on it so that it gives it a proper label. Now that that's done, I'm going to click on upload. And as you can see here, it says the file was successfully uploaded. So now that our file has been uploaded, I want to briefly talk about the tags that we assigned it. And so you can see in the list of files that we have here, there's a column for tags. And so if I click on any of these, so for example, Emma, these are all of the files that have been uploaded that have the tag of Emma. And so easy way to collect all of those into one location. What you can also do is in the search box up here, you can click on this drop down here and you can select whichever tag you want that we've assigned to a file. So for our example, we uploaded a file with the tag of Team Bios. So if I change that option here, click on filter, all of these files here have the tag of Team Bios. So again, it's a great way to keep your files organized. One last thing to point out about the tags on files is that even if you tag all of your files, that has absolutely nothing to do with search engine optimization. So even if you put all of the correct tags on every single file, it has nothing to do with the fact that your file will be easier to find on a search engine such as Google. It is purely for your own use or your team's own use so that you could find files easier at a later date. So next, let's talk about the headers on your CMS site. So the headers are going to be the image that you see at the very top of your page. And what you can do in the CMS is you can have multiple headers for your site. And what it'll do is it will rotate through each one of these pictures every time the page is reloaded. So let's walk through some of the header information and header stuff that you can do within the CMS. So now let's walk through the process of uploading a new header image. So I'm going to click on this button here that says New Header Image. And it brings me to this page here. It gives you a little notification up here at the top. This tells you that in order for an image to be considered a header, it must be at least 2,000 pixels wide. It can be larger than that, but it has to be a minimum of 2,000 pixels. In terms of the height doesn't matter as much because you'll be able to crop and scale the picture once it's uploaded. So, and I'll show you what that means here in just a second. So you can choose a header height. So you can choose large, medium, or small. We'll choose large for this example. And then you have to choose the file to choose the image. So I have a picture here that I want to be the header. And again, if you are using a header picture, you have to make sure that the picture is owned by Grand Valley or it is copyright free. Meaning you can't go to Google, type in picture, and find one that you like and upload it if it's not copyright free. So now that I've selected this, I'm going to say open. And you see that the picture is now uploaded. I could give it a title if I want to, which we'll discuss here in just a second. I have to give the picture some alternative text. So from here, I'm going to type in what the picture is. So we'll say Bridge at Grand Valley. You can put a link on the picture of the header if you wish, meaning if you click on this button here, you can select where you want the picture to take you to, whichever page on your CMS. You don't have to though, so we're not going to do that. If you do check a link, you can ask it or tell it which target you want it to open up. Do you want it to open in the current tab or a new tab? The text position can be left, right, or bottom. That will make more sense here in just a moment. And then the default is, do you want this picture or in new header to be shown on any page, or do you want it to be shown on pages that you've specified? So we want this to be shown on any content page. And then you can have a start date and an end date if you want. So say, for example, you have an event coming up and you had a header made for that particular event. You could have the start date be a few weeks beforehand and select the date, and then you can have it end when the event is over. Again, you don't have to, so we're just going to say always. So now that we're done, we're going to click submit. And now our header has been added, and if I look down here, there's our new header right there. So now that the header has been uploaded, let's take a look at what that would look like on our page. So I'm going to click on the View Site button here. And here is the header that we just uploaded to our page. Now, one of the things that we skipped over before was the Add Text option. And let me show you what that does. So I'm going to come back down to the header that we just uploaded, and I'm going to click on the Edit button. And then you can add a title onto the picture itself. So let's put a title of Grand Valley Bridge. And then I can choose if I want the text to be on the left, right, or bottom. I'll keep it at the left for this example. And then I will click on Submit. So now let's take a look at what our picture looks like with the title. So here's that same picture, but instead we have the title over here on the left-hand side. So you can add a title to any one of your header pictures if you want to put a little bit more text on there, perhaps give the name of the page, whatever you want to do within there. So let's talk about some of the status messages that we see on the header images page. So for example, this first image here, it says displaying has title wrong size. So displaying means that the header is showing, has title means that it has text on it, but because it's a wrong size, even if it has the displaying text here, wrong size means it will not appear on your page. And the reason for the wrong size is if we look over here, the size of the picture is below the 2000 pixels wide. So even though it says displaying, because it's the wrong size, it still will not show on our page. If we come down to this example here, it says specific content only. Now what I will do is if I click on this button that says pages, it will show me where this header is being used, and it's only being used for these two sites listed. So then if I click on back, you can then see that there's also a picture that says not displaying. And the reason that this header is not displaying is if I click on the edit button, if we scroll down, you can see that this header has an end date of 4/4/2018. So because it has an end date, it's not going to be shown. And then one last thing about the header images that you can do is you can reorganize the order of the headers if you want to, and you can do that by clicking on the up and down arrows that you see in this column. So for example, the header that we just uploaded of the bridge, we can move that up if we want to, and you can specify the order if you want to. All right, now that we've shown you how to move around in the CMS, let's actually go and create some content. So from the main CMS page here, I'm going to click on Content on the left-hand side, and then I'm going to click this button that says New Content. And if you remember from earlier in the video, you can choose these different templates, or you may clone an existing page. For our example, I'm just going to start with a blank page and build it from scratch. All right, so starting at the top, we need to give our page a title. So for this example, let's name this Intro to CMS 101. So now that our page has a title, let's get down into here and start to design it. So what you see here is we've got 3 different boxes here, so 3 columns. If I double click on this box, you can see it will ask you how many columns can you fit in this row. So you have an option of doing 3 columns, which is what we have shown, 4 columns, which shows like that, or you can do 6 columns, which shows like that. Another thing you can select is you can choose the row style. So normal means that the background is just going to be a plain white, or you can choose a full width light blue background. I click save, you can see now that the background kind of has this light blue color to it. All right, now that we've got our page very basic and started, let's add in some content. So the first thing you'll notice over here on the right hand side, you've got all these different buttons. This is going to be how you add in content to your page. So this first button here is add a row. It does exactly what it says. When I click on it, you can see that it adds another row to our page. If I want to get rid of that, I simply click the trash can icon that you see here. It asks, are you sure? And now that row's been deleted. The next button you see here is for heading. If I click on it, you'll see that it adds in another box and creates a heading. And then if I double click on it, you can see that it asks for a type of heading. So there's 3 types. You've got a main heading, you've got a subheading, and you've got a sub-subheading. So it's important when you create your CMS page that it has a logical order and makes logical sense. So you want your main heading to be the main topic, and then the subheading and the sub-subheading to relate to the main heading. So for the main heading, let's then add in a title, and we'll call this content items. And then we'll say save. So now we've created a heading. So now let's add some content below what we just added. So the next button you see here is paragraph. So you'll see that when I click on this, it adds the paragraph up here. Now you may think to yourself, I want this added below the content items. So you have a couple different ways in which you can move things around in the CMS. So first, if I click on the paragraph and I hold my mouse down, so I'm holding the left mouse button down, I'm going to drag it down here and I can select insert row. And when I let go, you'll see that the paragraph is now added to this new row. The other thing that I could have done is if I come over here on the right hand side and I click and hold on paragraph here, so I'm holding my left mouse button down, I can drag this down to where I want it to go and it'll appear there. So clicking and dragging the item on the right hand side onto your CMS page sometimes is a better option because you will then tell it to go exactly where you want it to go. And as you can see here, when we created this new row, it created it with 3 columns. So I can double click on the row and I can choose how many columns I want it to be. We'll keep this at 3 and we'll keep the row style as normal for right now and say save. So now that we've added in the paragraph, let's double click on it and we'll show you what it does. So from here, you can add in the actual text, the actual content. So let's just add in some text here and say, this is a video on CMS 101. I hope you are enjoying it. So we've added in some very basic text. Some things you can do with this text here is you can see you've got a text toolbar up here at the top, similar to what you would have in like a Microsoft Word or a Google Doc. Let's say that I want to highlight a particular word. I can click highlight it and I click this B button and now CMS is bolded. I could do the same with it and make it italicized as well. If I click this button here, it will remove all of the format. I can make the text then left aligned as it is now. I can make it center aligned or right aligned. This button here allows us to insert a special character. So if I click on that, you can see we've got a list of characters that you can add in. So if I want to add in, say, this heart, it will add that in there as well. I can click this button here to undo what I just did. So now it's back to CMS 101. I can also create list entries. So you can see now we've got a number 1. If I click return, I've got a number 2. Entry 2, and so on and so forth. I could also change this and make it a bullet entry and create different bullet items there. This button here will be one that you use quite a bit. This is how to add a hyperlink. So let's say, for example, we want to hyperlink and create a link from this CMS 101 text here. So I've clicked and highlighted it. And now I'm going to click this button here to create a hyperlink. Brings me up to this window. So the first option you have here is for URL or file. So let's say, for example, we want this link to go to google.com. I simply type in the URL here. I say OK. And now if I click off of it, you'll see that it's highlighted. Now, if I right click on this link that I've just created, I'm given the option to edit the link. So if I click on link type here, you see we have a bunch of different options in here. I'm going to cover a few of what these are. The first being to an anchor in this text box. And let me explain what this means. Let's say that we have a text box here with a lot of text, and we want the user that when they click on a word, so say for example this word put, when they click on the link on there, it will automatically take them down to another section in the paragraph. That's what's called an anchor. And so what we'll do is, let's say we want them to come down to this number 7 here. So I placed my cursor here, and now I'm going to click on this flag right here, and that adds in the anchor. So let's just add in the name and call this number 7. You can name this whatever you want. And now you see we have an anchor. So now if I come up to the top of this text box, highlight the word that we want the hyperlink on, click the hyperlink button. If I change the link type here to an anchor in this text box, you'll see that now that anchor type is listed. So I'm going to say OK. And now when a person clicks on this word here, they will automatically be brought down to this section here. So let's see how this works. So I'm going to click Save Changes. And now let's go down to Preview Draft. So here is our paragraph that we put the hyperlink in. And now if I click on the word put here, you see it takes me down to number 7, which is what we had the anchor listed to. So an anchor is an easy way to have somebody click on a link and have them jump down to another section in that particular text box. So let's go back to our CMS edit page here. I'm going to double click within this paragraph and go back to this hyperlink here. And the next option you see under the link type is email. Pretty self-explanatory. You can type in an email address, you can type in an email subject and a body, and when a person clicks on that, those fields will automatically be populated into whatever their default mail program is on their computer. The next option is going to be an internal CMS page. So we can have that link automatically linked to another page that's on our CMS. So if I want this information link to my bio page, it'll be listed there within this link here. And you can see we've got a few more options listed down here. These will make more sense further in the video once we've explained more of what these are. So I'm going to cancel out of this and go back to our paragraph. So we're going to move on to the next piece here, which is going to be adding pictures to your CMS page. So over here on the right hand side, you see the next icon below the paragraph one is image. So the same concept applies here. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to drag it to where I want the picture to be. Now that we have the placeholder here for the picture, if I double click on it, it brings me to this screen here. The top line has heading, optional. We'll come back to that here in just a second. Once we get the picture uploaded, I'll show you what that is. Image source, this is going to be the picture that we choose. So I'm going to assume that we have not uploaded this picture yet. So I'm going to click on the File Manager button here to the right. If I had uploaded the picture, it would be in this list here. However, since I haven't, I'm going to click on the link here that says Upload. And then from this page, I'm going to click Choose File. And this is going to let me choose the file that I want to upload. There's the picture. And then I'm going to give this a tag because it's important to keep images organized. So we're going to name this under Team Bios. And then I'm going to say Upload. We have to give this picture in alt text. So we're going to say group of people standing in front of a tree. I can give it a URL if I wish. What this would do is this would let a person click on the picture and it would then take them to whatever website we specify here. And then the caption, we'll come back to here in just a second once we get the picture uploaded. So now that that's done, I'm going to say save, and there is our picture. Okay, so we can take a preview of this if we want. So I'm going to click the preview draft button here. And there's our picture that we see right there. So now that we have our picture uploaded, let me show you some things you can do with that. So first of all, if we want to, we can make this picture bigger if we want to. So on the right-hand side here, you see how the mouse changes to a left-right arrow. If I click on it, I'm then able to resize the picture up to that size right there. So now if I preview the draft, we'll take a look at that picture, we'll see that it is much larger and perhaps easier to see. So you can resize the picture by clicking on it and dragging the size. And now let's go back to the heading and the caption, and I'll show you what these are. So I'm going to double click on the picture to get back to the edit image box here. Underneath heading, this would be if you want any words to appear above the picture. So we'll put in for this picture just a simple title of picture of us standing around. And again, that's the heading, so that will go on top of the picture. And then the caption is what will be below the picture. So then here I can type in some text of what I want to appear below the picture. So as you can see here, I've typed in a caption to appear underneath there. And now I'm going to say Save Changes. So now let's take a look at what we've done. And so you can see the picture of us standing around is the heading at the top of the picture. And then below the picture here, members of the web team helped incoming freshmen move into their dorms. This is the caption. So that's what we see down here. So we've got our one picture here. Let's say we want to add in another picture. So we'll walk through this again. I'm going to click on the image to make it smaller. And so now we've got our picture here, a little bit smaller in size. I'm going to click on the image icon over here to the right-hand side and drag it to the box that I want it in. Double click on it, and again, I'm going to add the picture here. So you can see I just added in our heading for the image source. Let's upload that picture again. And now that we have the picture uploaded, we'll add in the alt text. We'll say group photo in front of Alumni House. And then we'll say save. And so you can see here that it's starting to look a little bit more consistent. However, in order to match what this photo is, I need to add in a caption below. So let's come back into the picture, come to the caption, and add in some text. So we'll just say here is some text and say save. And now you can see that the consistency is starting to get there. So let's take a preview and see what we've got. And so there you go. You can see we've got the page started here. So we've got our two pictures. So if I go back to our page and let's just say that I want this picture to be closer to the left, I just want to show you how easy it is to drag and move things around. I clicked on that box, moved it around, and you can see now it's closer. So it's very easy to click and drag things around in the CMS. So let's do one last preview here. And there's our photos. So starting to get there, starting to understand a little bit more of the consistency. So now that we've done some photo work, let's go on to the next section. So the next thing that we can add in on the right hand side is a video. So the same idea, I'm going to click on this video link and I'm going to drag it onto the page that I want it to be at. And so now that it's added here, I'm going to double click on it. And again, the same idea that we had with the pictures where you can add in a heading and a caption, you can do here as well. So I need to add in some alt text. So what I'm going to link to is this video here that we have for the Grand Valley accessibility video. So I'm going to copy the name here, come back over here. So that's going to be my alt text as GVSU accessibility video. And then I will copy the YouTube link to put in there for the URL. So now that I've done that, I'm going to click save. And there's my YouTube video there. And again, if I want to, I can click on it and make it larger. Or I can shrink it down to whatever size I want. So what's nice about the YouTube videos is when you add them in there is if I click preview, when this page loads, we'll see here that you can then click play and it'll start to play right within the browser. So they don't have to click on it to go to that page if they don't want to. However, if they click here, it will take them to the video as well. One last thing about the videos I want to mention too is I chose to upload something from YouTube, but you can also choose to upload videos from Vimeo, Panopto, or Facebook URL. So these are the only video sources that you can use on the CMS. So they have to be from one of these services. So the next thing to show you is how to add a horizontal line. From this box over here on the right hand side, I can click on this and drag it to where I want it to go. And so that just adds a subtle line to separate two things. So if I do a preview here, we'll take a look and see what that looks like. And so there you go. You can see there's just a subtle line that separates the picture and the video in this case. Next, we're going to talk about anchors and what anchors are. So I'm going to go to this page here as an example. So let's say that I have a very large page here. Lots of links, lots of contents. And so let's just say, for example, that I want to send this particular section of this very large web page to a person. What I can do is within the CMS, I can add what's called an anchor, and that's what you see right here. So what I'm going to do is if I click on this anchor here and I drag it to where I want it to go, it creates the anchor. I double click on it and I type in the text of what I want the anchor to be. And so for this example, we'll see that the anchor is registration full. Okay, so now that we have the anchor created, now we can create a link to it and have that link go directly to that section of the page. Let me show you how to do that. So with this page here, we'll look at the very top, and this is currently the URL of the page that we're on. And so if you remember, over here we added the anchor to be anchor of registration full. So what we can do is if we come back here to this URL, and if we type in exactly what we put in for the anchor, so there's our URL there. Now let's copy that. And if I hit enter, it will take me to this page, but it will scroll me automatically down to that specific entry. So let me close out of this page. We'll open up a new one. And if I paste that in there, you'll see that I'm automatically brought to this section. So there's content above and content below. But because we have an anchor and because we're linking to that anchor, it automatically takes me there. So the next two options to show you are very similar in that they are the Twitter feeds and the Facebook feed. So I've added both of those to our CMS here. If I double click on the Twitter feed, I've given some options in terms of I can have the heading showing or hiding. The big thing here is that you have to type in the username of the Twitter feed. So for this example, if I look at the GVSU Web Team Twitter feed, it's GV Web Team. So I'm going to type in that username there, and then you can specify how many tweets you want it to show. So we'll leave it at 5. You can go 1 to 10 in this. And then we'll say Save Changes. And then next we'll also do the Facebook feed. Exact same idea. Double click on it. And then in this instance, though, you have to use the Facebook URL. So I'm going to take the facebook.com/Grand Valley URL and paste it in there. Now, with the Facebook one, you do have a few more options. You can have it show the timeline. So that's going to show the timeline or the posts that Grand Valley puts out there. You could also put the events. So if they use the events section of their page right here, you could have those appear on your CMS page. Or if you click on messages, this will create a link that will allow users to come and type in a message that would then send a message to Grand Valley. So for this example, we're just going to use timeline and then say Save Changes. So you can see we've got the Twitter feed and the Facebook feed added to our CMS site. Let's take a look at the preview. And now that our page is loaded, you can see we've got the Twitter feed from the GV Web Team and the Facebook feed from Grand Valley State. So we've got the most recent tweets that have been published from the Web Team and also the Grand Valley Facebook feed from here. So there's also links at the bottom for you can view on Facebook, or you can follow the particular feed on Twitter. Next, we'll talk about how to add a table into your CMS. So on the right-hand side here, you'll see the table icon. If I click on it and drag it over, I now can have a table on our page. So if I double click on it, I'm given a lot of options. So you can see it kind of looks similar to what you would have with a spreadsheet or a table in Word. So again, I can add a heading if I want to. Up here, if I click where the text is, so in major, class, credits, I can click in here and I can say, whatever, I can type in whatever I want to. And then using these buttons here, I can add in a row or I can add in a column. If I want to delete one of those that I just added, I just click on the garbage can icon. It'll confirm that you want to delete it. And then I can also change the color that you see, and this is going to be the header color that you see at the top of the table. So these are all the colors that you can change. So now that I've added that in there, let's hit save. And there's our table added there. I can, of course, click on it, drag it to make it bigger. And now that that's done, let's take a look at the preview and see how it looks. All right, here's our page. And if I scroll down, there's the table we've added. So that is adding a table. Next on the list is what's called the fact module. So I'm going to take the fact module and drag it over here, and you can see it adds it into a new row. I'm going to double click on it. What's nice about the fact module, what it does is you can add in an icon from this list here. So let's pick one at random and make it a telephone. And then you can give it a title, a subtitle if you want, and then some content underneath it. So let's add in some information in here. So we'll add this title as CMS 101 Intro to the CMS and say, welcome to CMS. I could give it a URL if I want to. Why not? And then say save. So as you can see, what it does is it adds in that icon we chose, so the telephone. It puts a picture of it, and then it adds the text of whatever you want below there. So we call this the fact module, and you can choose any of the pictures you want here. So for example, if you want a link to something involving directions, you can choose the road. And now we've got the road picture there. So the fact module lets you pick any of these pictures and do whatever you want with it with the text below it. Next will be the map module that we're going to add to our CMS, which is this icon right here. So I'm going to click on the map module, add it in, and then I'm going to double click on it. So what the map module allows us to do is to put on our CMS the exact location of whatever we want. So let's walk through this. So for example, if I open up a new window and I go to Google Maps. From here, let's say that I want to give directions to the Lubbers Stadium, okay? So I have it listed here, or I could do a search for it up here. So Lubbers Stadium now appears here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button here that says Share. And then from this link at the very top, there's a link that says Embed a Map. And what's important is this line right here. So you can highlight this and copy it, or you can say copy HTML from right here. Now that we have that copied, let's go back to our CMS. And under the embed code source URL, I'm going to right click and say paste. And there's the link that we just copied. Here it says enter a brief description of the content for accessibility purposes. So we can say map to Lubbers Stadium. And then you can adjust the map height, whether you want it small, medium, or large. So we'll say save changes. And let's hit the preview button to take a look at how the map looks on our page. All right, the page is loaded. Let's scroll down. And there's our Google map to Lubbers Stadium. So again, you can use any location you want to. You just have to do a search in Google Maps. Once you do the search in Google Maps, click on Share, Embed a Map, and copy this text that you see right here. That will then put it into your CMS. So now that we're all done and ready for our website to go live, I'm going to scroll down to the very bottom, and there's this link here that says Publish. If I click on it, now our website is live and accessible to the outside world. So you can also do a save as draft if you're not quite ready to publish it, the preview draft, which we used quite frequently in this video, and you could also just start on over. So I clicked publish though, so our website is live and ready to go. A couple things here in winding down our CMS 101 class. I want to mention that over here on the right hand side, you may see a few buttons extra that I have that you may not have, and vice versa. You may have a few extra buttons that I don't have. This is completely normal. There are certain modules created for certain sites, so nothing to be alarmed about. So in the next class of CMS 201, what we're going to be discussing is the use of modules, and we're also going to be discussing the More section over here on the left-hand side.